In today's session of Divorce Court, Katie Davis says she can't stand the sight of her husband Harold anymore.
You got married to somebody that you met that had a gold tooth in his mouth. What did you expect him to do? Take the gold tooth out so he can come meet your mother? And what else did he need to change? What about his bald head? If you don't like the gold tooth, then you move on to somebody who doesn't have one. Let me see this gold tooth that ruined the marriage.
Now, Katie Davis and Harold Davis face off one last time in today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Harold Davis versus Katie Davis, and I'm advised that you've been married 4.5 years, and now you want to end the marriage. Mrs. Davis, why?
Your Honor, my husband is a no-good dad, a deadbeat husband. The few times that he did keep a job, this man would leave. When he would get paid, he would leave. He wouldn't show up for a couple of days. And of course, when he would show up, he'd have on brand new tennis shoes, expensive brand name tennis shoes, expensive clothing, and of course the bills were due around that time, and I'd be like, Harold, the bills are due, Harold, and he'd tell me, he'd be like, well, I don't have the money right now. I'll get it later, or it's always a story with him.
Why couldn't he keep a job?
I don't know why Harold couldn't keep a job.
Maybe I should ask him, Mr. Davis, why couldn't you keep a job?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, me being a no-good father is a total lie. I provide for my children. I took care of Katie while she was going to school.
Harold,
which
you are lying.
She was
You
never
never
working.
Now, you were married only
going to
4.5 years. Did you live together before you were married?
Yes, we did.
Did you have a relationship? How long?
We had a relationship for about a year, maybe a year and a half.
No, it was 3 years.
So you mean,
Your Honor,
hold on, you don't know the difference between a 3.5-year relationship and a year?
It was about a year and a half, Your Honor. First of all,
maybe she was in it by herself and you weren't there. Is that it?
She wasn't in a relationship with me. When I met Katie, we were both working at a hospital. Okay, we started dating. After we started dating, she was staying with her brother at first.
No, I had my own apartment. My car was paid off.
Your Honor,
I was not living with my brother.
Wait a minute, so one of the problems of this marriage is the two of you don't even know what was going on between you.
You want to ask him the birthday of his kids. He doesn't,
we're not talking about the birthday of his kids. He's saying that you met and you were living with your brother.
Yes.
And you said it was your own apartment. Well, maybe he thought it was your brother's apartment.
My brother and I were renting an apartment, you know.
So your brother and you were renting an apartment together?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Her and her brother were staying together. Obviously, her and her brother could not get along. So her brother told her that
my brother didn't even like you. You don't even...
Don't interrupt him. Let him finish, please.
So her brother told her that she needed to basically go her own ways. So Katie moved in. I was, at the time, I was staying with my mother. So naturally, she was going to stay with...
So she moved in with you and your mother?
Yes, because her mother wouldn't let her stay with her.
Harold,
for obvious reasons.
That is not
And what's
true.
the obvious reason?
Well, she can't get along with anyone. She has never been able to get along with
Your
anyone.
Honor, my parents has disowned me.
What's wrong? Hold on a sec. What's wrong with her?
Her mother and father disowned her before I even met her.
You're telling me that your mother disowned you
Your Honor,
and you moved in with his mother?
My mother never did. After I met him, my mom disowned me because...
Oh, it was after you met him she didn't like you?
After I met him. Because when I introduced him to my mom, okay, he walks in with shorts on, his gold teeth all showing and everything. I told him, I was like, Harold, you know, try and, bring yourself appropriately.
You wanted him to change his appearance?
Oh, well, because when I met him, he wasn't like that.
And he had a gold tooth in his mouth?
He had the gold tooth showing it and everything.
Well, what was your mother, what did you expect him to do, take the gold tooth out so he could come meet your mother?
I had asked him to. He agreed to do it.
You asked him to?
Yes, because he agreed to it.
What is it, a removable tooth? What you got?
No, it's not removable. I had the tooth since I was 17. My wife knew it when she met me. I mean,
you told me you was going to remove the tooth.
I never told her I was going to remove the tooth out my mouth.
He is lying. This is just, you got married to somebody that you met that had a gold tooth in his mouth, and he promised you that he would remove it.
He would remove it,
and you were going on that promise?
Yes. Because
why? That's who he is. He wears a gold tooth.
He had already made the appointment to remove the gold tooth.
I never
to the
did
same doctor that put it in
Your
there.
Honor, that's a lie.
Why are you going to ask him to change his physical appearance what he looked like when you met him, and obviously you were attracted to him with that appearance, but suddenly he has to change it. That's mistake number one. If you don't like the gold tooth, then you move on to somebody who doesn't have one. Simple as that.
But you know, he promised me he'd remove it.
Your Honor, can I say something real quick? First of all, her mother...
I don't understand that. So did he have this chain around his neck too, a chain like that?
Yeah.
And you didn't like that either?
No, it was fine. It's just that I didn't like the gold tooth, you know.
Well, Miss Davis, what were you doing, looking at him in the dark and you couldn't see the gold tooth?
No, but you know, when he promised me he'd remove the gold tooth, I was like, okay, because I wasn't really attracted to him at first. You know, he worked his way in.
So you didn't like people or men with gold tooth?
No, I just didn't like him with the gold tooth because it doesn't look right on him. You know.
Oh, it didn't look right on him.
Yeah.
And what else did he need to change? What about his bald head? Did you like that?
No, he didn't have a bald head. It's just that he's going bald right now, so he shaved his hair off.
So he had hair on his head. That was
okay.
okay.
He had hair on his head. Yes.
But you wanted him to get rid of that tooth.
Yes.
And he had to get rid of it supposedly before he met your mother.
Right.
And he made a mistake when he met your mother with having the gold tooth in his mouth.
Right.
So that set a downward spiral from then on.
No, not really, because I was still in love with him. You know, I fell in love with him eventually.
Despite the gold tooth.
Despite the gold tooth, you know. And, you know, of course, he
What
couldn't
did you
keep a
want her
job.
to remove? What did you want her to change?
Well, Your Honor, I don't look at a person as far as they're out of, you know, I try to look at what a person is, you know, and
Harold, you told me.
When I met her mother, you know, her mother basically came to where we were. And that's when I met her mother. Of course, we were outside.
So her mother came to your environment?
Yeah, we were outside. Of course I'm going to have on short pants, you know, and tennis shoes. Yes, we stayed in Florida. I mean, every day is sunny. It's almost 90 degrees.
That's right.
What else am I going to have on?
Let me see this gold tooth. Come over here. That ruined the marriage. I mean, I can't understand all of that.
I've had it since I was 17 years old. She had no problem with it.
Oh.
She had no problem with the gold tooth. I mean, and her mother...
Go back to your place.
After my mom met him, 5 minutes, she pulled me to the side and she told me, Katie, this man is going to drag you down. He's going to give you a whole bunch of babies and leave you for another woman. And that's exactly what he did.
And so she judged him immediately?
Yeah.
And you said, despite that, I'm going on.
And everything she said was like clockwork. It happened just like that.
When divorce court returns, the judge questions Harold about the possibility he's leading a double life.
You go away for 2 or 3 days, and while you were gone, she's struggling with the kids. You come back with new tennis shoes, new clothing, new outfits. So were you working or somebody else was providing?
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Katie Davis, who says her family was so against her marriage to Harold that they disowned her.
Harold could never keep a job. He joined the military.
Did he have a job when you met him?
He did, because that's how we met. We met
at the hospital, both of you working together. So then what happened to your job after that?
He quit. And then I ended up getting pregnant, so I had to quit. We ended up moving in with his mom.
Let me hear from her.
Thank you.
So he quit his job.
He quit his job.
After the first child or second child?
First child.
I didn't quit my job at the hospital.
What happened?
First of all, she got fired from the hospital.
So she got fired?
She got fired from the hospital.
How did I get fired from the hospital?
I was still working at the hospital. Why? Well, how come you left the hospital before I did?
Wait just a minute. You said she got fired.
Yes.
So she was terminated and you were still working.
And I was still working at the hospital.
And this is after you married?
That is correct.
All right, then what happened?
Okay, basically, I was still working at the hospital. Then we had a child, okay?
First child?
We had
and where were we living after we had the child? Or while I was pregnant, really? Where were we living? Since you had a job. Since you were working and paying the bills and all this that you claimed
We were living in Cloverleaf.
No, Harold, we were living with your mom. Did you forget?
No.
We were living
You know what?
with your
Yes,
mom.
both of you have forgotten because so far neither one of you have agreed on anything. You met, you went together for 5 months, you lived with each other a year and a half versus 3 years. Both of you have forgotten, obviously,
He doesn't
what
even
happened
remember
here.
the day
so
we
just
got
tell
married.
me,
Nothing.
She's saying that you didn't keep a job You go away for 2 or 3 days, and while you were gone, she's struggling with the kids. You come back with new tennis shoes, new clothing, new outfits. So were you working or somebody else was providing?
I was working odd jobs doing construction.
Oh my
some of the
God.
time, whatever I had to
What
do
happened to the hospital
provide
work?
for the kids.
What happened to your hospital work?
Okay, we moved.
So you moved, and that's you went to the
joined
military?
Yes.
And how long were you in the military?
I was in the military for 6 months.
6 months. That was a long stay.
No,
what happened in 6 months?
Harold, 4 months.
Okay, basically, my son, our youngest son, had an operation. He had a cyst on his brain, so that caused him to have fibrosic seizures. Okay, when they moved, which was against my command, because they didn't want me to bring them down because it was too early. I said no. I wanted to make sure.
But you went to get your children because of your son's illness.
Right, and
now
because
that sounds like
my wife had no way.
That doesn't sound like a no good dad to me, who would be more concerned about the health of his child and the child's benefit.
He's lying.
That is not. How is your son now? How is that child doing?
Oh, he's doing a lot better now.
This is the child that he said that is not his, by the way.
Wait, if he wasn't, if I stated,
that's a different issue.
First of all, if I stated that he wasn't mine, why would I take care of him? He was under. He was.
That issue is not before the court. You don't have to go there. Okay. I don't want to hear it.
Okay. We had a 3-bedroom apartment. I bought her a brand new car that year.
Oh, my God.
She was not working.
Harold.
She came down
Your
to
Honor,
Texas
I have
with
worked
only
2
her
jobs to take care of my kids.
How could she get to Texas and have a job?
So you were kicked out of the military because of that?
No, I wasn't kicked out.
Why did you get kicked out of the military,
We basically made an
Harold?
agreement to get out the military because my son was having seizures every day.
Your Honor.
Every single
Let me
day.
finish.
Every other day, my son would have a seizure. I would have to come from drill or wherever I was at and run to the hospital. And my unit was like, you know, you're not doing us any good.
Military not too conducive to that.
You're not doing us any good.
But I'm glad that you did it as a father, because your first responsibility is to your children and not to a job. I appreciate that. And so as a result, you had to get out the military.
I had to get out. Okay, she's going to state that I got out because I couldn't wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning and all that. I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
But you still haven't told me about these tennis shoes that you'd be gone for 2 or 3 days and come back with new clothes and name brand tennis shoes.
See, that's one thing I don't understand. All the clothes that my kids have, I bought.
Since the separation, she's claiming that you haven't been providing for support, providing for the children.
Which separation was that, Your Honor?
The last one I suppose.
When she came from New Jersey, which was last month, the month before last,
you said
the month before last, she had a house to go to, which I provided for her. I got that house.
Is that right?
We can get the lease.
Let's just wait a minute. Let me take it one at a time, because you and she don't agree on anything. Let's start with the house. When you left New Jersey, went to Texas, did you have a house? Yes or no?
I had a place to go to.
Who provided the place?
I did. I called. I was friends with my landlord. I was friends with him. Okay, I knew his wife and everything, and he's the one.
Whose name is on the lease?
My name's on the lease.
Oh, okay. And you say your name is on the lease.
How come my name was on?
Wait, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
And you say your name is on the lease, right?
That's correct.
Where's the lease?
Exactly.
Where is the lease?
I didn't bring the lease with me.
Oh, please. You said he's not providing support. You say I am.
He is not providing. I had to work 2 jobs to support my 4 kids.
Well, sometimes we have to work 2 jobs even if the person is providing support.
Because we live in a 2-bedroom apartment. You know, I don't.
First of all, that's
how much are you giving your wife on a regular basis?
About $650 a month.
Oh my Jesus!
I'm not giving it to her.
What are you doing?
I'm providing for my kids. I bought all
what does providing for my kids mean?
I buy all their clothing, the food that's in the refrigerator. I pay for it. You know, any. And
you're doing that on a regular basis every month.
Every month.
And you have a job.
Month. That's correct. She paid the rent. She paid the rent.
I don't care where he works. If he says he has a job and that he's giving you $650 a month, or giving the children, in terms of providing for them, an average of $650 a month.
Your Honor.
Food, clothing.
That's correct.
And you're paying for the rent too?
Okay, Your Honor, this month she paid the rent because she just got back the month before last. I paid $750 just to bring her into town. Just to get her, because she went to New Jersey for 5 months.
I don't want to hear about New Jersey again. Please don't take me there.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
Don't walk into another court talking about he's not giving me anything and paying for child care. You better get some receipts.
And an update on the case of Michelle Winston versus Danny Winston.
So you mean you told your wife that you were having an affair and there was no way you were going to stop?
We were not having sex. My wife didn't care about nobody but herself.
Divorce Court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce Court is back in the case of Ketlye Davis, who says her husband Harold was always more concerned about himself rather than his children.
Now, how much are you spending per month?
I am spending on the kids alone $1,000 a month on the kids alone.
Where?
Doesn't even
Hold on a second.
include
That
me.
includes rent or without rent?
That includes rent and child
She only
care.
pay rent
How much
for
is
a month.
child care?
Food. Well, I pay my neighbor. I pay her like $50 a week.
Her neighbor?
My neighbor next door.
Yes,
she
neighbors
watches the
can
kids.
take care of
Her
children.
neighbor never watched no kids.
Your
Her
Honor,
neighbor
I work
has
from
3
10 to
kids.
6.
Okay, are you
And-
working?
Yes, I work.
So, and you're working, right?
That's correct.
So where are the children standing home by themselves? They have to be infants and little children
First
because...
of all, she works from 10 to 6. When she goes to work, I watch the kids. I have to
my
stay home.
God.
Her neighbor's not going to come over to our house at 10 o'clock at night.
Where is the receipt for child care?
I pay her cash.
Where
Most of
is the
stuff-
receipt for child care?
I don't have it because I pay
Okay,
cash.
that's out the window. Don't have a receipt for child care. You say you pay, he says I take care of the children.
course
I
I
don't
know.
have a receipt for child care. You're paying her in cash. The government won't allow it. I'm not going to allow it. It's not tax deductible. You're supposed to be paying her with the receipt and a social security number and recording it and sending it so she can pay taxes on that child care money. I don't have a receipt. Child care is gone.
She
and you
just
can't
met
prove
a
it.
neighbor
All right,
last
whatever.
month.
You're
so
paying
how could she pay-
$650 per month, so you say.
That's correct,
Right?
Your Honor.
No problem for you, right?
No problem.
And you don't have an issue with that?
No, I have no issue taking care of my
So
kids.
she
Your Honor.
requested $100 a week, so that's easy, right? Because
No
you pay
problem,
more
Your
than
Honor.
that.
No problem, Your Honor.
$100 a week. Court order, child support. Now, what I suggest you do from now on, so that when you go to the next court,
Get a receipt.
you don't have to worry about he said, she said, they said, and nobody proved anything. When you pay her with a money order or a check. Just be quiet. I'm through hearing from you two people now. Because the two of you haven't said the same thing twice, together yet. Use a money order or a check. The better way is a check because your canceled check is always there.
Correct.
Somebody has to sign. The money order, you may make it out, and people do it all the time. They buy it, put it in the person's name, and never send it to them. I know that game too. Right. But the check, they have to cash it, and they have to sign it. So that's what you need to do. You need to keep your records and keep a copy of the checks, and then you'll have proof whether he's paying or not. Don't walk into another court talking about he's not giving me anything and paying for child care. You better get some receipts. No judge will give you credit for that because you're paying a girlfriend or a neighbor for child care. I know that game too. So if you want to prove your case and you want support, that's it. $100 per week, child support, payable to Ms. Davis. You get what you asked for. You could have gotten $650. You're limited to what you requested. You requested $100 a week. That's the court's order. Court's adjourned.
All rise.
When Divorce Court returns, an update on the case of Michelle Winston versus Danny Winston.
When I used to come home from a hard day's work and try to talk to my wife, you think she'd listen to me? No.
I would come home from work and he would be gone. He would just leave us.
Closed captioning for Divorce Court provided by. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in Divorce Court. Michelle Winston said her husband Danny had so little respect for her that he didn't even bother to hide his affairs.
You mean you told your wife that you were having an affair and there was no way you were going to stop?
We were not having sex. My wife didn't care about nobody but herself. I cooked. I cleaned.
So what you want, a medal?
When I used to come home from a hard day's work and try to talk to my wife, you think she'd listen to me? No.
I would come home from work and he would be gone. He would just leave us.
Michelle said when Danny walked out, he left her with $300 in long-distance calls to his girlfriend and over $1,000 in loans. The judge ordered Danny to pay all of the phone bill plus half of the loans and $200 a week to Michelle for child support. After they left court, Danny said he wished he could turn back time and undo the mistakes he'd made in his marriage. Michelle says the best thing Danny ever did for her was walk out so she could start over and make a better life for herself. Danny begged Michelle for another chance, but she said no. So now he pours all of his energy into his new computer business.
Basically, my wife lied about everything.
He told his lies up there, but you know, what goes around comes around.
I would never, ever get married again.
My self-esteem is low, and he's totally degraded me, and you know, I don't have a relationship with my parents anymore, and I just move on from there.